Hey, I think this thing's going. I always give it like 20 seconds or something like that. Every time I start it, it never shows up in the from the beginning at least. So I put a video up earlier. Well, hold on. We'll give it another like 10 seconds because I know it always cuts off somewhere. So we give it to 30. Like, is anyone else fucking here? Yeah, that should be enough. I think it'll be starting at the right spot. Unreal. Very organized today. So yeah, I put a video up, I don't know, only like an hour ago. That was going through just the review of the Fender Kingman, but I also talked about, somewhere towards the end of that, writing on an acoustic, and how it's something that I consider crucial. That's not an exaggeration. I really do think writing on an acoustic, especially for songs and even bass lines, is super important because it'll make you play clean. Like, if you could pull something off cleanly on an acoustic, you're gonna be able to play it on an electric, and then let alone an electric guitar. Like, I have that one riff that, as I play it shitty, you hear every note that I missed. That one that I missed. So not only is it good to write on an acoustic, it's really good to drill on an acoustic, because if you could, we practice not until you get it right, you just practice till you'll never fuck it up. That's this like school of thought I came from, at least. So with that said, playing and writing and then practicing what you wrote on an acoustic, to me, is crucial, because it just makes everything seamless. And if it sounds good acoustically, it's gonna sound great, even though it's plugged in on the electric. I saw back on the video, you couldn't really hear the difference, maybe because I was playing too hard, and it's picking up the acoustic as well. But to get into writing on this thing, so if you play slower, what I've been doing recently, I used a melodic minor, so flat third, flat six, major seven, and then the octave, starting in E. So to make it sing or whatever, I kind of mess around with melodic and natural minor, because that's the same note. Someone's getting pulled over. And towed. Sick. Alright, anyway. Look out my window. So, alternating between the flat 7 and the major 7. So, what was I playing? It's actually all just minor 7. And then coming down to that Phrygian feel. Actually, no, not even. That's playing the minor 6th, the inversion of it. So that comes to that chord with the power chord from the root note, which is the dominant, which we were talking about before, and then the octave, which is an inversion, the 4th below. And then back to the riff. So I'll loop it again. Did you hear that? I played it too hard. It sounds like shit. So that's the minor 6. And then the inversion of the 5th. Minor 6. Super dissonant. And then roll down the scale. And for that, I was playing, that's the Byzantine scale that I descended. Right? Yeah. that's how just writing, messing around with different scales and stuff, still has the feel to it, right? Because I know the notes that I'm gonna play, and then I weave in and out of them. So that's how I get that feel, quote unquote, while using a ton of music theory. The two are not mutually exclusive of each other. And then you could take the same idea, we're in E minor, and that's, I don't know what the vibe or feel is for that, but it's true. I am definitely hippie woo-woo shit when it comes to writing. I just laugh at people that refuse to learn music theory because they think it affects the feel. But if I wanted to do a jazz feel or vibe to that, I could take the same thing and just change up the actual feel. Like, messing like that. Again, it's like, oh, just play that, right? No, it's fucking a long time and experience. But what you're feeling, what you're thinking, I go into that thinking jazz. I went into the other one, sad as fuck. Trying my ass off to learn theory. Shit's pissing me off because I get it, but it's applying it that's not clicking. It's all right. Don't look at, it's like if you were to build a wall or something like that. You just one brick at a time. So if you want to write something using theory, just use small shit. Like for me, I'm mixing a million different things into there at the same time. But if I wanted to take these notes, right? So we'll do, and we could do a drone string. Right, so the droning, you see it in like shoegaze, the fucking kids call that these days. I mean, you hear in doom metal all the time, but the drone note, which is going to keep hitting the A, right? So what you're playing there, 7, 6, 7 on D, 6 on the G, and this will stay up forever, so go back to it and learn how to do this one. 9 and 7, so 9, 7, 11, 10, 12, 11. Every time I play a gig, they go like this place. It always disappears every time you write that. I'm sorry. But so if let me do this one really quick, and then we'll come into how you could deal with people trying to fucking gatekeep theory and telling you to play stuff that they're probably explaining way more difficultly than it needs to be. So here you're gonna go, right? 7, 6. That's gonna be 9, 7, 11, 9, 12, 11. And then just take your fingers and fuck with it. I do index down to A, middle for the D string, and ring for the G string. And then you come down here where it would be 6 and 4. So come up with your own things for that. Arrange the chords differently and all that. When it comes to dealing with people in bands that are only talking theory, usually they're trying to belittle you, just being honest, which is really fucking annoying. And it's hard to, I just don't like people like that in general. But if you are going to stick around people like that, learn the scale degrees. Because if you know scale degrees, whatever they're saying to you, you could bring back to a scale degree. So if they're saying play the augmented blah blah, or the mix, even they're saying mode names like Mixolydian or anything like that, or Dorian, and you're playing, just say, okay, should I go up to the minor third or the major third? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And then if it's down, it's minor. If it's up, it's augmented or whatever. That's a good way if someone's being a dick, talking theory. If they're saying the relative minor, that's one you'll hear a lot. What that means is the 6th scale degree. I try super hard to put a little solo together that always comes out shitty. Simple it down. If it's coming out shitty, you're doing too much. So like those notes, we'd go back and learn those. Now we'll use a 5th, which is the dominant, right? Everyone always says. So you're just gonna play a power chord. So from, right? Work on this for a solo and steal it, use it, I don't care. Make it your own. You play note for note. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna copyright you, dude. So when you were going, we're gonna use our pinky to play the 5th above whatever that root note is. So we're gonna go pinky, index, ring. Or pinky, index, middle. Then we go down. It's actually not gonna be a 5th above on that one. Just get the hand positions. We'll deal with the theory for it later. Pinky's gonna be on 14, 11, 12, 12, 9, 11, 11, 7, 9, and then 9, 6, 7. So, and then what we can do from there, once you get that one down, alternate between your pinky and it's going to be a 4th above each time. So this note. Here's the root, 5th. I think in playing, feeling not completely understanding, like a jukebox, especially now if it covers mostly. So if I had to solo over a song, no, you could solo. I mean, just play 3rds and 5ths. You can't go wrong. Like if you're playing, always, or just do the Bootsy Collins thing. The bass player for James Brown, always come back to the 1. Like, no matter what you do, you want to come back to the 1. 1. 1. Always, every single time, whatever the root note is, just drone that shit out. And if you're gonna solo, start fucking around with just notes in a scale. Minor scales are good. Good news is I understand 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah, that's all you need. Like, if you're playing a run, that's another. I mean, on bass, we don't really look at it as solos. We look at it as fills. That's what I do. I fill time. So if you're just gonna come out and play a solo, yeah, it's gonna be rough. Unless you're able to do fills, coming up with a solo is gonna be really difficult. You just shred a scale, especially a blues one. Because a blues scale is just taking notes away from another scale. It's like the same pentatonic. That's why they are so used, because you're just getting the identifying factors of a scale, of a regular 7-note scale. But really quick, to come back to that solo one, start doing that one. How do you play different fills? Because I feel like I play mostly similar fills. I have to be intentional about it. Like, I know if I'm going to play minor, I know the hand position. It's going to be index, it's going to be ring, and it's going to be pinky, because that's going to be that kind of way. And if it's going to be major, it's going to be that shape, minor. Live, we have things to do because we like certain sounds because of the style. I just want to be able to break through the same stuff constantly being played. Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna get bored with what you're playing. Any band will go through that. Especially if you spend a fucking lot of time making a record, you're never gonna want to hear those songs again. And then you have to go out and play them. It sucks. But the way to look at that is you have to remember people hearing it for the first time are hearing it for the first time. So that's why consistency is huge. And you become, there's a level of playing where there's writing and then there's going out, or if you're playing covers, then at that point, there's still spontaneity, right? Like you could improv and do whatever you want. And there's parallels to life on all of this shit. But also go into the grind of it, and playing a solid foundation, even if it seems boring to you, is what your audience is gonna want, especially in a cover band. Like if you go to if you're in a wedding band, you fucking should crush those bass lines. This, not the exact same, but very close to what the original is, because that's what everyone wants to hear. That's why you're there. That's why you're getting paid to play that. If you're gonna go out and just be in a jam band, then nothing wrong with that. Just go jam. But know your audience and have fun with it, because getting annoyed with it is definitely a choice. So I love when people ask questions. A bit knowledge than I am, and it's nice to be able to have some. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I like going live. Like my favorite part is talking to people about this stuff, because there's questions I never even asked myself. And usually there's a lot, if you think you're going through something alone, you're not. We've all experienced shit like that before, especially getting bored playing the same stuff. The way I do that, if I'm really getting bored with something, I change the way my hand position goes near everything, which might be killing some of my creative muscles. You play everything ratio 1 to 1, yeah. You could change the way you're playing too. Like you were playing, I wouldn't get bored with playing Cliff Burton stuff, but you could play stuff in different positions. There. Or you could always change up how you're playing. Now I gotta remember. Right? Identical recording, my bad. Yeah, 1-to-1 recording, yeah. But yeah, you could always change your hand position too. I don't suggest doing that while you're playing live, and because I just took a second to figure out where to go. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 6, flat 7, 6, 5, 3. Same thing. So yeah, change up where your hand goes, even for practicing too. Just keeping it interesting. And the more you learn, the more satisfying it gets, the more you're gonna start doing stuff. You don't want to tweak it on the fly. Yeah, don't do that. It won't go too well. It depends. And surround yourself with musicians and play with people that are better than you. Like you should always, especially starting out, but even when you get good, I don't want to be the best person in the band, like ever. I also don't want to play with assholes, and I don't do that. But yeah, I like to play with people. I like to play above my ability. So that's a big one. And it doesn't have to be the same. I mean, there's only one bass player typically, right? So every wrong note is jazz, bro. Yeah. Yeah, that was good, but make it jazz. That's what I'll tell people. Right, there's no wrong way to play. Yeah, sure. That's one thing about bass. Whenever people shit on it and they say it's easy, definitely the least experienced in my band by a long. Good. That's awesome. I mean, you're gonna learn a lot. And the cool thing about being the least experienced one is you don't have a kind of not ego. It's a little bit of an ego. You don't have a you don't have reservations about like, oh, I could play that better. I know a better way than what they're doing. Or, oh, that's cool, you play it like that. You should play it like this. You don't have that. Whatever way they're playing is the way you're gonna learn. So if you're around good people, you're gonna learn some really good fundamental skill. However, if they're not good, then you're gonna pick up some shitty habits, which is why you come to a channel like this. Because you'll be able to see what the fuck you're supposed to do. Or not supposed to do, but you know what I mean. Proper technique, proper. And no one has proper technique, by the way. Like textbook. If you ever read those like Mel Bay books, no one plays like that. Yeah, these guys push me a ton. I'm the singer, but these guys are unreal good, so they help me. That's awesome. Yeah, and especially as a singer, you could float over all that stuff. Like I was talking in the comments before about Billie Jean and why it's Dorian? Ione? Yeah, because the second note of E, the song is totality. The bass line isn't Dorian, but because you mix it with the singing and then the bass, the music part of it, it ends up the two mixed together, and there's a Dorian for it. I forget exactly what. I think it's a E flat. I don't know. I'm just saying words at this point. But I was deep diving it with somebody through a conversation, and that's exactly how we figured it out. That it's a Dorian scale, and not just us saying that. Like, you look it up, it's absolutely Dorian, and that's why it's Dorian. Yeah, but playing with other people. The other thing is getting your hands to do what your brain thinks. That's why this exercise is like vital to get down. Everyone's like, oh, it doesn't do anything for playing. Bullshit. Anyone I've heard say that just can't do this yet. The second you can get this down and do it, it's night and day. Because you could pretty much figure it out. Bass singing is fucking rough sometimes. Way harder. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really hard to sing and play bass. I'm fucking terrible at it. It's a video I have that's gonna come up. I just have to like get over my shyness about singing on the internet for fucking anyone to see. But there's certain ways of doing it. Playing with a pick is a lot easier to sing than play. But there's certain ways to float over it. It could start with singing as you play too. Like, I do it too. I'll just do it. Lemmy? Yeah, the fucking god. If I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, I'm slow. I've looked back on videos and I'm kind of like, my speech is going up and down with it too. So you can kind of naturally get into it. I am by no means a singer though. So there's that. So, like, kudos to you for singing and playing bass, especially if you're playing with your fingers too, because that is way more unnatural than that, right? So, but yeah, what else? What was the topic of this? Oh, playing clean on acoustic. So I played that one before. It's hilarious that you can casually talk and play with singing words. Yeah, it is. I have no, well, if you look at the early videos, I didn't even talk on the YouTube one. And early, I mean, I started this in October, so it's almost a year. 10 months, whatever that is. So you switch between pick and fingers. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, being on YouTube, the live videos helped me like actually be myself, if that makes any sense. Because just like talking to the phone is weird when no one's around and it's just recording and you don't know. And then I was like, fuck it, I'll curse. That's really when I was able to not have to worry about anything. And I don't, obviously I don't like structure shit out. I know what I'm gonna talk about, just like a jazz set. I'll have, or a set list. I'll have what I want to cover, but you know, improv it here and there depending on where the video goes. Plus having an incredible amount of ADD, which I didn't notice until I made this channel, helps. It actually does help. Yeah, the clock with YouTube voice or some shit. Yeah, there's hearing my own voice, I'm over it at this point. Like, I used to be weird about it. Well, it's the way I sound. Nothing I can do about it. I don't really care. I'm not the kind of guy to take the fucking don't look like myself in my profile picture, man. This is fucking me. That's what I look like. That's what you're getting. But the other thing too is like noodling around like that and talking is always helpful to figure out rhythms of but yeah, I'm sure you're a better singer and player than I am, because I don't even really do it. It's like, no way. It's way too shy, way too whatever. I gotta practice it more. That's, well, challenge accepted, right? Take my own freaking advice. But playing cleanly, what was I getting at before? Oh, that fill for it's the Bach thing from. Eventually, you come down to this part. Like, that's what I'm working on now, and to me, that's sloppy as shit. Because it's supposed to be incredibly clean, and that's the other thing. Whatever your standards are for playing is what you're gonna end up playing. So sometimes I know people that would play that like I just did it and be like, oh, I'm fucking set. Like, no, there's a lot of, I have to tweak that a lot. Like figuring out when to hammer on and pull off. Like that part, I'm using my index twice, which is, this is more advanced shit, but I'm not just alternating. Because my fingers are getting in the way of each other, because there's so much going on. It's such a weird... Because it's not written for bass. That's another one too, is if you transpose, if you take music written on different instruments and put it onto bass, you'll be moving your hand and your brain around in ways that, you know, you're gonna get away from 1-3-5, that's for sure. Like that is a 1 flat 3 5, and then minor 7, right? And minor second. You really are doing shit that should not go together. It's just difficult, which is why playing on an acoustic is great. And then if I take an electric guitar and distort that, you'd think, what the fuck I'm doing? I sound like Yngwie when I play that stuff, because you're able to be sloppy. And Yngwie is one of the most sloppy players ever, by the way. Malmsteen, all that shit. I mean, guitar god, quote unquote. He's the best guitar player ever. You just have to ask him. The first one to tell you that. The guy's so arrogant. But he has zero timing and he sounds like he's hacking away. Drop D, E flat B to try to connect the notes visually. You think that's a good... I think that's a really good idea. I think I said transpose wrong. Transpose is switching keys, right? Transcribe is when you move from instrument to instrument, right? I gotta look this up now because this is gonna bug me. I don't want to give out fucking false information, man. Whatever the one... Yeah, changing in different keys is awesome. You should do that all the time. Transcribe. Pretty sure that's what I'm talking about, instrument to instrument. I can't believe I don't, yeah. At least I'm honest. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. Music definition. Yeah, transcribe is just listening and writing it down. That's all that is. Transpose. Changing the pitch is transpose. I forget what it is, moving it from instrument to instrument. Adapting music. As I search stuff before people watching me do that. Hold on. Adapting. Does anyone know? Instrument to another. I can't believe I don't remember. Yeah, transpose instruments. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Okay, that's why. Obviously, there's two definitions for everything. Thought I was losing my mind for a second. But yeah, transposing is also taking from instrument to instrument. Yeah. And transpose is also changing the, what key you're into. You can move it from E down to C or something like that. Maybe we're both about to learn some shit. We learned that it means the same thing. But that's also key as well. If you don't know something, it's 2024. Not even that, it's 2024. It's been this way since what, Windows 98? You just go online and look it up. If you don't know whatever, just take a second. What did that take? We could actually look back at how long that took. 30 seconds, maybe? And now I know. That's fine. So looking stuff up, I do it all the time. The only problem with that is I've done it and I'll do it to an extent where I go down a rabbit hole and then I'm not practicing like at all. All of a sudden I'm becoming like, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis and stuff like that. Where I'm just reading about theory and not practicing it, which is dopey. About 25 seconds. Yeah, exactly. Fucking whatever. An analysis paralysis would be going back right now to figure out exactly how long it took as opposed to just playing and practicing. But yeah, basically if I don't know something, I look it up. What else? But yeah, I definitely recommend the acoustic bass if you can. The ADD will kick on. Yep, there it goes. So the acoustic bass, I don't think, when I say it's crucial for writing, it is now that I have one. Do whatever you have, what you have. I got this, I'm 37, 3 years ago? I've played acoustic basses before, I just never had my own. And then when I got this, it's like, yeah. When I got this, it's, I just lean into it for writing. I've always written on acoustic guitar though for metal stuff, especially for heavy metal shit. Because if it sounds heavy on an acoustic guitar, it sounds, like I was saying before I got in my rant about Yngwie, is that you'll shred on an electric guitar it'll sound heavy as hell, like, because you have to play it clean. Same thing goes with a bass. But we're typically in the forefront, and I think I got away from that from my ADD before. With a bass, when people say it's the easiest instrument, that's highly debatable, but for argument's sake, we'll say it is the easiest instrument, right? But what does that mean? Because bass guitar is the only instrument that you might not normies, whoever, will not recognize the bass in a song, right? Whether it's just so given that it's just there. They will hear the bass every single time it hits the wrong note, or every time if there's a mistake on bass, every single person knows about it. Other than that, it's taken for granted. You fuck up on a guitar, no one notices. You crack your voice a little singing, it's whatever. Piano, you just dance around it. Drummer, it's nothing. Like, you can recover from a fuck up on bass, but everyone hears it. So to me, in an unbiased opinion, if that's the case, or not if that's the case, because that's the case, then bass is incredibly important, because it's the only one that if there's a mistake, everyone knows. Like everyone, like the record skipping type of thing. Yeah, so that shows me how important and how predominant bass really is in music. And some bands don't have a bass player, like there's White Stripes and stuff like that, but they still have something in place of a bass. Like that whole thing, it's with a baritone. That's a bass clef, like a fucking bass. Like, just because it's not your typical bass doesn't mean anything. Then you have like Metallica that just cut the bass off entirely, but they're crushing the bass on their amp. That whole chugging stuff is all like double-digit hertz for EQ and stuff like that. 50 hertz to 80 hertz. That's the bass frequency. So when people say bass, it doesn't have to be this thing. It has to do with sonic bass, like that kind of stuff. When that frequency fucks up, everyone knows. And when it's gone, which is why a beat drop is so great, it just feels like something's missing, because it is missing. It's missing bass. Once on a gig, I was in E flat from a prior song. They didn't let me tunes. I transposed the band all with each other. Surprised you told him. The best transposing, whatever, out of key story I have, when I was 19 or 18, I think it was 18, I was really young. Coheed and Cambria, their bass player, robbed a pharmacy for pills and stuff, and he got in a taxi cab for a getaway driver. Point is, he got kicked out of the band, and Coheed was holding auditions in Yonkers, like right outside of Yonkers in New York, upstate, but New York City kind of area. And I got an audition for him, and it was at a rubber band factory, some storage room. It's really weird, and it was awesome. I got to play with them. They were great, but they in the email that was sent out through Yahoo, by the way, that's how long ago this was. That's the account I had, and they said to tune down a half step, but the songs on the recording were tuned differently than what they were saying to play at the rehearsal. So I had my bass tuned down a half step, but they were playing half step up. Yeah. So I get there, and the point was I had to play everything a half step different, right? So all the opens became one, and I wasn't playing open at all because they was tuned different, and they didn't give me any time. And by they, I mean their manager, his name was Blaze. It's a really funny name. He was cool as shit too, but there's no time. You get in, the amp is turned up like any audition, like through the roof loud. And so I just had to play it, and I did pretty well with it. I obviously didn't get a fucking job, but their producer ended up being their bass player for that. fast forward, I moved to California like 6 months later, and we were day drinking like crazy, especially with the time change and the playoffs were on, watching a Ranger game or whatever. And this dude sits next to us at the bar, and there's like no one else there, and he had the dragonfly tattoo or whatever on his arm. It was Mike, the bass player, I believe his name's Mike, for Coheed. He was actually out there recording whatever that next record. When I auditioned, it was Welcome Home. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. But anyway, we got hammered with that guy. I don't ever know what happened to him. If I remember right, I think his dad was like a higher up at Spectre Basses, something like that. Yeah, random fucking stories. I mean, we got boatloads of those. But back on that transpose story, that was the craziest one I had to do. And then eventually we got to play it was Welcome Home, Time Consumer, Favor House, Atlantic. I forget the other one. The Pills Guy? No, the Pills Guy. It was the Pills Guy. They took him back. The Pills Guy. I like that term. Yeah, he was back. And I was like, yeah, I auditioned. He's like, yeah, I know. They auditioned a lot of people. But I was really young. Really young. And I had a huge welt on my hip from it. Having a dad Spectre guy. Yeah, I think his dad might have started it. It's like a big one. I don't want to rumor it. I'll look it up later because I don't want to just search it. But it's searchable. I don't know what that guy's doing now, but this was like 2005, something like that. So yeah, that's the story with that one. I didn't realize that it's 1:38 already. Whatever. I have shit to do, but I guess I'm gonna kind of get going. But yeah, I love these live videos. And Blake, fucking A, man. Solid conversation. Don't ever apologize for talking to me on a live video because they just massively promoted and hoped for. So thank you guys a lot too. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a video tomorrow. I never do. Kind of just wake up and figure it out. This one was actually Billy, who's also fucking dope. That's usually in the comments. He recommended this as a review. I want to do a review once a week because they call it evergreen material. And people search it out and the channel grows because of it. But I do not want to fall into that trap of just doing reviews because I get views from it. That's not the point of this channel. This is legitimately how to play bass and everything that comes with it. The reason I review this is because I use it as playing bass, but I'm not about to go down like 50 fucking compressors and when I don't even use one right now. But yeah, that's the idea of it. So I'm gonna go. Comment below again all the recommendations, songs, shit like that. I will get to ones that have already done it. I know there's a Mos Def one I have to do. There's this White Wedding. There's a bunch of them. But yeah, I'll get to it, especially with every single day. So I'll go through the list. But please give me more ideas so I can add to it. And I will see you guys later. I'm kind of getting a hang of turning